Good morning. Welcome to Parks, Arts, Education, and Equality Subcommittee. Today is September 28, 2016. I am calling this meeting to order. Do we have any cards for call to the public? Okay, we do not have any cards. Minutes of the meeting, I need approval or corrections of the minutes.
Motion to approve May 25th, 2016 minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes carry it. I don't think there's an A in here. Consent items are from 2 through 6. Are there any items in there through 2 through 6 that are, I need approval?
Motion to approve items 2 through 6.
You have, I will be the second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Those opposed?
All those opposed? Sal? Councilman?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
I can barely hear. Yeah,
So it
sorry.
passes. 2 through 6 pass. Items, let's see, items 7 through 9 are information only. Does anybody have any questions?
You know, on number 7, I have a question.
Okay, we'll pull number 7 out. Deanna Jovanovic, would you like to review a Parks and Recreation agenda?
Yes, if I could ask park staff to come to the table. Miss Erickson is out of town today.
I had a question on the Cuban Park, the parklands being sold near Cuban Park. What's going to be built? How much are we getting for it? And who's the contractor?
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Good morning. My name is Joe Diaz. I'm with the Parks and Recreation Department. The Cuban land, or the land adjacent to Cuban Park, is a vacant lot. The school district approached us with the possibility of selling the property to them, and it would be an extension to the existing parking lot to provide more parking for the facility that's there.
Oh, perfect. And then the other thing is there's an RFP awarded to the Japanese Friendship Garden. Who was the winner of that, or the top candidate? I'm not sure if it's approved yet, or.
Contract was approved at the Parks Board meeting.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Judy Weiss. I'm Deputy Director of the Management Services Department, or Division. That item is an award of a contract to the Japanese Friendship Garden to operate the Japanese Friendship Garden.
Already, so it stays within.
Yes.
I was just wondering if there's going to be new management or not. So.
No, same
All right.
management.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. We are now on item 10, artist design contract for Control Station 72 Public Art Projects.
Water coming up too?
Only question.
All right. Good morning. We're here today to talk to you about 2 public art projects that we are initiating in partnership with the Water Department to improve neighborhoods in Districts 1 and 4. And I have with me Ed Lebo, our Public Art Director, to talk about these 2 projects. We will describe the projects separately, but we'll take it as one vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the council. These are 2 very exciting projects. The first, as Gail mentioned, is for the Control Station 72, the Odor Control Station 72. And as you can see from this map here, it is up on Pinnacle Peak Road, about 47th Avenue. There's a residential area across the street, golf course on its side, and then mountains, Thunderbird Mountain behind it. And Kevin Berry, who is a South Phoenix artist, was recommended for both of these projects. In this case, he'd be recommended for a $30,000 design contract to work with a team hired by the Water Services Department to improve this site. And the site is right there. An odor control station essentially sweetens the pipes for folks in the community. That's probably not a clinical or technical term, but that's what it does. This is what it looks like right now. You have a sidewalk, a slope, and then you have a fence that has been built over the years by various designers and contractors. The whole idea would be to improve the security of this site. Right now, there you can pretty much get over the walls if you like, but also to improve some shading there. And this is what it looks like from the street. To win this competition, Mr. Berry came in with this idea of using sort of what is in the surrounding landscape as design inspiration, the stones from the mountains, and also forged metal pikes, as you would call them, to sort of draw a line tracing the mountain along the front. So this would provide security, but also a good deal of beauty. His inspiration are these kinds of things, some of the plantings and stones from the area. Kevin is a master metalsmith. If you go up through South Mountain Park and take the turn on Central Avenue and go up into the park, you come to Ponderosa Stables, that beautiful fence that was designed a number of years back. Kevin had done that. And so he would work with an engineering team with the water department to incorporate these ideas. He would also work with the community to determine the ultimate outcome of this design. So that's the recommendation on this one facility. The second recommendation is for a $25,000 design contract for Kevin Berry to work with a landscape architect, water department, and the community to enhance an inactive well site. It's in the Maryvale area. You can see Thomas Road to the north there, 55th Avenue heading south, and then West Edgemont. The water department has almost 50 inactive well sites around the city, and this is the first model project to see how we can enhance these sites so they can become real community assets. Right now it's a vacant lot. When it rains, you can see sometimes there's drainage issues. It has a mix of fencing, that is a little bit of chain link fencing and some bollards and some equipment which has recently been removed. Well, this is what the site looks like. Kevin came in with the idea, well, let's work with the community and see if we can turn it into something a bit more. The community involved in this design or the selection process was very high on this idea of the transparency that Kevin brought to this, that as you can see through to the alley, see through to the street. And the one added element that's not included in these renderings is that he will be working with a very fine landscape architect to turn this into an example of how low water use can green up our streets in non-irrigated areas of the city. So those are the recommendations that came from the panel, both $30,000 for the odor control station and $25,000 for the community water facility. In both instances, Kevin would work with other design professionals in the community to ultimately complete the design. And we would expect to be briefing you in the future on how these designs unfold. Any questions?
I do have a question. Actually, it's not a question. It's an error on my part. We are going to probably vote, it's item 10 and 11 that we just heard. So it'll be item 10 and 11 that we vote on. Okay.
Correct.
Councilman
Motion to
Nowakowski.
approve items 10 and 11.
Second.
Second, Madam Chair.
Yes. Councilman?
Thank you, and I want to thank staff for doing this. One of the things that, going back in history, and I think some of the staff that were around will remember that, we took a strong look years ago, back in the 90s. I helped chair this committee, Madam Chair, and I want to congratulate staff for incorporating functionability in these projects. One of the things that we had a lot of criticism at the time, just a little bit of history, coming from the public, that a lot of these art projects were like the teapots along the 51. I don't know if you remember those. We still see some of those out there. And there wasn't any functional part of that. What was incorporated, and I think you'll see a lot more of this, and a lot less controversy was the functionability, making these functional, making them neighborhood oriented, and getting another reason and another purpose out of these projects. So I want to thank staff for continuing to do that. That's something that I'm going to be looking at, but I know staff's done a fantastic job on that. And it's basically endured for all these years. So I want to thank staff for all that they've done on that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. I do have a card, and they are in favor. I can't even speak this morning. I haven't had my tea. Henrietta Anderson, she's in favor. She's part of the neighborhood that on 55th Avenue that was part of the project. So thank you. We have a motion, a second. Are we all ready?
Ready when you are.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you to the neighborhood. Item number 12 is the consultant services to study feasibility of the cultural center.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, this next item concerns the potential for a Latino Cultural Center for Phoenix. The Office of Arts and Culture requests approval to enter into a contract with Yvonne Gallardo Arts and Culture Management of Pico Rivera, California, to conduct a feasibility study and management business plan for a Latino Cultural Center for Phoenix. Through the City Bond Program, funding is available for a capital project to benefit and showcase our Latino community. $1,074,000 is available in this year's CIP for that project. And the Office of Arts and Culture is seeking a qualified consultant to provide assistance in helping us move this project forward. A request for proposals was issued on August 10th, and a selection panel met on September 19th to review the proposals and make a recommendation. The panelists ranked the proposals based on overall quality, qualifications of the applicants, relevant experience in undertaking projects of similar scope and complexity, and understanding this project and ability to communicate with local stakeholders, as well as cost effectiveness. So Yvonne Gallardo Arts and Culture Management received the highest ranking and was recommended for this award. The panel called out Ms. Gallardo's extensive experience with comparable projects in other cities and her strong ability to engage with our local community. The total expenditures will not exceed $70,000, and funding is available in the Cultural Facilities Capital Improvement Project funds. And so we request today your approval to enter into this contract with Yvonne Gallardo Arts and Culture Management to conduct a needs assessment and feasibility study for a Latino Cultural Center for Phoenix.
Are there any questions?
Madam Chair,
Councilman DeCiccio, go ahead.
just a couple of questions. When you're talking about the feasibility study, what is it you're looking at? I mean, are you looking at location? Are you going to find a, say it's going to be in this general location? Are you looking at what the operating agreement would be on something like that? Are you looking at whether or not the city would have to be involved in it with other than just the bonding, the building of the building? I mean, what is it they're going to be looking at in the feasibility report?
Madam Chair and Councilman DeCiccio, that is correct. We are going to be looking at all of those factors. The idea is to first go into the community and to understand from the community what they're looking for, what they would like to see in a cultural center. And then there will be a lot of conversations and analysis that's done of our current market in terms of our ability to not only build, to find partners to build it, because you're right, the $1 million is probably insufficient, as well as to determine what would be a sustainable management plan for the future. How will this organization be able to grow and to continue in the space that would be developed for it?
And the reason I bring that up, if you look at the city of Tempe and if we look at some of the other projects that we've had at the city of Phoenix, right now, a lot of these nonprofit organizations are struggling. And Tempe did a great thing. They wanted to move forward child's play, but found out several years later that it wasn't going to work after the building was basically handed to a nonprofit. and I agree with the noble causes. I like it. But the financial sustainability long term for these nonprofits are generally not looked at. And or they have one funding source that dries up. Then it looks back to the city to pick up that nonprofit inability. We've done that with the ballet. We've done it with other arts projects. The question I'm going to have when you look at this feasibility, and I basically put it on the footstep of the staff, is the amount of detail that they're going to be able to go through. And I assume you're going to be doing in your feasibility the identification of these nonprofits. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, Councilman DeCiccio, that is correct. We'll be working with an advisory group, which includes the entire arts and culture sector, business community, and then other organizations that currently run culture organizations here in Phoenix. It would be very expansive.
All right. Well, I'm fine with it because I get where you're going. I just want to make sure that this feasibility report is going to be detailed enough to where we can start weeding out whether or not this is workable or not. And I believe we have the funding capacity when it comes to the bonding ability. It just comes down to, what happens with the operational end of it. And that's the concern I've got.
Yes, we understand.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Councilman Nowakowski?
First of all, I just really want to thank our staff and my colleagues. And Sally, exactly what you're speaking about is why we actually wanted to have a consultant come in and look at what the needs are for the community, look at the needs of the city of Phoenix being the 6th largest city in the country, and is there a need for a cultural center with 40% of the population of Phoenix being Hispanic? And then once we pass it over to a nonprofit or to an organization, will they be able to handle the cost and the operations of the center? So I think that's one of the things that we're trying to be proactive by hiring this individual to really look at all those concerns that you had and what my colleagues have here too. We want to make sure that this organization or nonprofit is successful, and this becomes one of the jewels of the city of Phoenix, and a place where people would want to fly into Phoenix and be a part of. So thank you once again, and I'd like to make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
I'll second. I do have a comment.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a great starting point. I think it's the responsible thing to do. I think, ideally, we have a cultural center here in Phoenix. This is the type of thing that is not just for Latinos who live in Phoenix. This is about promoting cultural diversity in Phoenix. And, I think, while I know that we're all very proud of our Native American culture, we have the Heard Museum that is, teaching us many things, and we are very proud of all of the cultures that are celebrated here in Phoenix. And I think, obviously, the Latino culture is something that is around us and something that should be celebrated. And but I want to be clear, this obviously is not just for the Latino families who live in Phoenix. Again, this is about promoting all cultures and all diversity, and this is a great opportunity for us to do something. Now, the feasibility study is the right thing to do. It's the responsible thing to do, because it needs to be more than just an emotional decision to build something like a cultural center. It needs to be something that is sustained. I believe it will be sustained. I expect some really great information to come out of this feasibility study that will really move us in the right direction to make this a reality, and I'm very excited about it. So I obviously second the motion, and I'm supportive.
Thank you, Councilman Valenzuela. Well, before we vote, I want to thank staff. I know this has been a long journey to get to where we are today. I want to say, how long, 10 years, Councilman Nowakowski? About 10 years, am I around about? To actually get to the place of where we're doing a feasibility study. I'm excited about it, and I'll tell you, just because of my background of a teacher and being able to use a cultural center as a way to teach culture, but also a way to also introduce the arts and how the arts is able to teach us in many ways, math, science, reading, writing, everything that we learn in the STEM or STEAM area, it can be taught through a museum and through a cultural center. And so, and plus our history. So I'm excited to actually go down this journey and see where we are. Councilman DeCiccio, your colleagues are in the same space as you in the sense of whatever we do as we move forward, we want to know all the ins and outs of how we're going to move forward and making a solid decision, but and also how it's going to sustain itself for the future and building that from the ground up and making sure it's sustainable. So I'm excited as we move forward. So
Sorry, Madam Chair.
yes.
I think it's really cool that we're doing this. I think it's great. It's like with ideas. Ideas are great, but making those ideas financially sustainable work. But again, even if it was just for the Hispanic community, you got to remember 40% of our population is Hispanic, and we don't have a cultural center dedicated for them. And we have one pretty much for almost everything else. And I think this is a great step for the city. And here's an idea for you. You may want to think about. As you move forward with this, you may want to incorporate some sort of Native American component in there and see if you can get funding for the gaming community.
That's an excellent idea. I think probably what you're going to figure out in a Latino cultural center, you're going to have roots to many different cultures, and we could probably expand upon that as we move forward and look at all our different, genes that we have within us. And so thank you for that idea. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes. So thank you, Gil.
Really appreciate your comments, and I'm very excited about this project. Thank you.
Do I have any call to the public cards? I think I have one right there.
I wonder who it is. Let me-
Tim Zarakowski.
Good morning, thank you.
Morning.
I think we're going to start seeing more of the parks property being sold. And I'm just kind of wondering where this money is going to go. Is it going to go into the general fund, or are we going to use it to put back into the park system? At the present time, 3PI money is pretty much doing everything to rebuild your park system. Your general fund money isn't, people don't realize, general fund isn't paying for any renovation of any parks in Phoenix. None. Zero. Not. I've looked at everything now. Now I understand that what you've really done with 3PI money is to use 3PI money to run all your restoration. So there's no general fund money doing any big projects in Phoenix. None. So if they're going to sell parks property, we want the money back. We don't want it to go to general funds. It's time now that we look at what 3PI was supposed to be used for. It's supposed to enhance the park system, not to run it. We also want this money that if you're going to sell parks property, we want the money that you took for the golf course debt to be paid back through any property that's sold. Thanks.
Thank you. We could probably get an answer for our next meeting regarding the selling of the property. Let's see, what else? Any future items?
I have two items that I'd like to put on the future. An update on exactly what you talked about on new projects within our parks. I think that we have many things going on in my district. I'd really like to see what's going on throughout the city of Phoenix and where the funding is coming from. The other thing is that there's other cities that have districts that are called cultural historic districts. And I was thinking right around Margaret Hans Park, we have an opportunity to preserve that historic aspect of the housing and buildings that we have around there, that we should start looking into the possibility of creating some type of a cultural historic district around Margaret Hans Park, where we already have the Irish Cultural Center, the Jewish Center there, the Japanese Garden, and how can we increase that more of a destination point for culture?
Those are good items.
And I believe the item that we've been working on throughout the summer, code PHX, it may be ready for the next agenda.
Okay. Anything else? Councilman DeCiccio? Okay, meeting's adjourned.
None on my end. Oh,
Within
okay.
25 minutes.